Blog Talk Radio.
Hello everyone, this is Chrism, and I'd like to welcome you to a conversation about your Kundalini awakening experience. Today, or actually tonight where I am, I'm calling I'm talking with you from Lourdes, France, where it's about 11 o'clock p.m., and I don't think Santara is going to make it except for another hour, because I'm not sure she's remembering the time change, fall back and spring forward. And so we'll probably hear from her in about an hour. Anyway, I'm here to talk with you about Lourdes, France, and about the healing waters and the whole scenario around Lourdes, France. But first, I would like to welcome you to this Blog Talk Radio, and I'd like to let you know where you can find some more information about your Kundalini awakening process. And one of those is on YouTube. And if you go to YouTube and you put into the search engine Chrism Kundalini, it'll bring up many of the videos. There's a little over 270, I think, videos there, and this will give you a level of information that you can't find anywhere else, really. It's a fairly extensive video library of information. Now, I'm going to give you the guest call-in number right off the bat here, because with this iPad, I'm unable to set up a chat room. So for all of you that would normally join me in the chat room, I do apologize for that. Santara has a laptop, but once again, she's probably not going to show up for another hour. So my apologies to those who would normally join us in the chat room. One can also go to Kundalini Awakening Systems, #1.com, and there you'll find a beautiful website set up by Glenn Ola. So many thanks to Glenn. I'm going to bring Eileen on here just for a sound check. Hi, Eileen.
Hi, Chrism. The sound is wonderful. So
far. My gosh. I'm in this 1930s, 1940s old hotel here in Lourdes, and they actually have the Art Deco old phone booth type scenario, because the night guy is listening to his soccer game, and so I'm in this cramped little phone booth in a chair, and it's perfect for doing the show. So thanks.
The sound is great. Keep going. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And I'll bring that over here. Okay. Yeah, so many thanks to Glenn Ola for putting that website together. You can also go to Chris Mitchell or Chrism.Kundalini on Facebook. And, of course, we have the Yahoo groups, Kundalini Awakening Systems 1 at yahoogroups.com. Lourdes, France is quite unique. I'm just going to go ahead and give you a thumbnail sketch of Saint Bernadette Soubirous, who is the person that had many of these experiences that caused Lourdes to become this huge travel destination, especially within the Catholic faith. And I need to say right off the bat, anybody who is a practicing Catholic, I apologize in advance if I say anything that offends you. It's just that I don't buy into, a lot of the aspects of the of that belief system. Not that it's wrong. It's just that I and my Kundalini, it just isn't. It's not correct. Hang on a second here. There we are. So my apologies if anything I say offends anybody else. So let's begin. Bernadette Subaru, back in the 1850s and early 1860s, when she was 14-year-old, was out. They were collecting firewood. One girl was her sister, and another was a friend of the family. They were out collecting firewood, and I guess they spread apart in the forest. And Bernadette came upon this grotto that I'm sure everybody knew was there, but just didn't think much of it. And when she came to the grotto looking for firewood, an apparition appeared in front of her. And this apparition was of a female that was covered in light, or she was luminescent. And this female verbally told Saint Bernadette that she was the Immaculate Conception. Now, what really needs to be understood is that she didn't say she was the Virgin Mary. She didn't say she was Mary, Mother of Christ. She said she was the Immaculate Conception. And of course, it's an easy jump to get into the idea that, oh, this must be the Virgin Mary. And this is what is currently understood here as you come to Lourdes, France. And it is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful expression of Christian of the Christian belief system to finally find a way to honor the sacred feminine in everyone. Okay, I got disconnected here, and hello everyone. I got disconnected here. My apologies. I'm sure. Let's see if Eileen can tell me where I left off. Hi, Eileen.
Hi. You were just talking about the assumption that it was the Virgin Mary.
Oh, thank you, my dear, and I'll pick it up from there. Thank you again, and
right.
Please stay on the phone line here in case I get disconnected again. Okay?
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. Okay, yeah. I got disconnected for whatever reason here in the hotel. Maybe the guy turned whatever it is. So anyway, the assumption is made that it's the Virgin Mary, and this is a great way to, for many of the Christians in the Catholic world, to find a way to honor the sacred feminine. The apparition came to Saint Bernadette 18 times on 18 different days, and created quite a stir in the Lourdes village at the time. And one of the things that the apparition started to tell Bernadette, I don't have any apparitional quotes here, but the apparition wanted to test Bernadette's faith in what she was experiencing, and so levels of surrender testing seem to have been developed. And by surrender testing, I mean the apparition would say to Saint Bernadette, "Oh, do this or do that," and whether or not Saint Bernadette would do this or that would determine her level of surrender to the apparition. Now, let's talk a little bit about that. Apparitions, can be many different things. Now, this happened to be a divine apparition, and you can feel it when you're here. But I wouldn't want anybody to start hearing voices or to see a vision of somebody in a grotto and start to hold that apparition or that voice as a god or a goddess or in some way in control of you. Be very, very, very careful about how you approach this type of thing. However, with Bernadette, the apparition gave her certain tests to do, and one of the tests was to eat grass. And so Bernadette went out into the meadow and started eating grass like a cow. the villagers saw her doing this, and this upset them greatly. And their ridicule began to happen about why Bernadette was doing this, and if this was a holy apparition, why would it have her eating grass like a cow? And then the apparition commanded her to do something even worse in the eyes of the villagers, which was to drink muddy water out of a mud puddle. Of course, Bernadette went over and she drank the muddy water out of the mud puddle, and this really incensed the villagers. But as the apparitional visitations continued, an understanding was beginning to develop within the village, but mostly with the village priest, because the apparition told Bernadette to have a church built over the site of this grotto, and this grotto contained a spring, and the healing waters became connected to what the apparition said would be a healing center, or a great healing gift. And so this has been what has been occurring here in Lourdes, France. And coming here as a Kundalini awakened person, you can really feel the energy. The energy is very, very strong here. And within that context, this divinity, this divine force that is actually here is blessing everyone who comes here. They're saying, many people are saying, oh, the age of miracles has passed, and there are no more miracles, and of course I have mentioned in previous shows that that's absolutely silly. It's just that we have in our Western society, we have preconceptions of what we think a miracle should be. In my opinion, a miracle can be a child being resuscitated from an accidental potential drowning, but of course, that's just not miracle enough, because it happens too much. But because it happens so much, I'm suggesting that miracles are still happening and will continue to happen, especially to Kundalini awakening people. And so I want you to fasten your seatbelts, because, with Kundalini awakening, you get miracles. You get miracles in real time. You want apparitions? Well, all you have to do is look, and they will come. But once again, I'm not suggesting that anybody start going out calling into the void or the ether for an apparition to come to them and appear, because typically you'll just get a discarnate entity that wants to control your life in some way. When you come to Lourdes, you immediately feel the sacred quality, and a lot of this is given off by the people that are there. As Magdalene de Deus and I arrived, we arrived at the Excelsior Hotel, which is really, if you're going to come to the Excelsior, because it's the last hotel before you get to the shrine, and so you literally park your car in the garage there, and then you walk to the grotto. So if any of you are planning on visiting Lourdes, I would suggest you to come to the Excelsior. The night guy likes to watch his soccer, but hey, they like soccer here. Anyway, so as you come and as you begin to involve yourself in the activities that are done here, you begin to feel levels of Kundalini, and it will affect your Kundalini in very, very real strong ways. You'll have pulsations of energy coming up your spine. Your heart will begin to expand. You may get a bit of a head buzz, which is what I was getting when I first came here, and that will subside a little bit. Ecstasy and bliss are easy to come by here. You begin to cry for no reason, and a lot of it is detox that's coming through the Kundalini for you. But you may have the opportunity to join a great throng of people who walk around it looks like about maybe 1.5 kilometers semicircle from the chapel that has indeed been built above the spring, above the grotto. And you walk around this wide boulevard and come back around and meet at the chapel, or I'm sorry, at the grotto. And there they do a big sermon in 4 different languages at the grotto. So I stood through the sermon for a little while just to see the level of entity interaction with people. Very interesting, very interesting. A lot of goodness is happening here. A lot of love is happening here. And yes, there are healings that are happening here. I would like to welcome everybody who's calling in. Once again, I apologize for not being able to set up a chat group. Let me see if I can come on over here to where Amelia might be. Let's see here. And there she is, and let me see if I can get her on. Okay, we'll see if we can get her on here. Okay, so yeah, when you come here, when you join in these festivities, and they are very festive, they're very positive. Extremely positive, and yes, healings do occur. However, you do see a lot of healings that do not occur. You see healings that are. I was sitting next to a gentleman today who wanted to have a healing for a crippled leg. He had a very hard time walking, and of course, my Kundalini went to him immediately and started to work on him. But, he came in, and it doesn't happen for everyone. But it does happen for some. And this is the second time I've been here, and it is extremely conducive to Kundalini awakening people. It is a wonderful place to come, and I do recommend that you come to Lourdes, France, not so much on a Catholic pilgrimage, but certainly within a Kundalini type of pilgrimage. I have been here in France for about, just a few days, and putting together quite a few videos from Ireland and also from France. And Lourdes is exceptional. Lourdes is an exceptional place. Now, of course, we have the Catholic hierarchy, asserting their control over basically everything here. It's interesting because there's this big patriarchal control group trying to once again dominate femininity. And femininity really is the source of the force that comes through Lourdes here. It's a very, very feminine place. It is all about Mother Mary or the Virgin Mary, and I'm fine with that. It is a sacred grace that people are partaking of, and for Kundalini people, you get to feel it really strongly. Magdalene de Deus, she felt it in her heart. Let's see. Hi, Santara. Hello. Santara, I can't hear you. Well, okay. Can you set up a chat?
Hello, Chris.
Hi.
Chris.
Hi. Can you set up a chat group, please, with your laptop?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay, and so as you from a Kundalini perspective, there's equanimity between the genders, between sacred male and sacred female. And here I see in Lourdes a gentle, soft, and provocative attempt by the sacred divine to begin to adjust a large group of Christianity towards an appreciation of sacred divinity. So this is you feel this a lot here, and of course you have the men placing themselves over and above the divine here. You have the the popes being placed over and above the divine, and you have the certain male almost all of them are men, being placed over the what I'm going to call the apparition or the Immaculate Conception, which I really see as sacred femininity, or in the Sanskrit terminology, Shakti Kundalini. And as this occurs, it's okay. It's all right, because divinity doesn't really have a competitive nature in this way, but it is beginning to open doors for people who have this level of appreciation. Many people were here last night. I would have to say over 1,000 people were here marching around, saying prayers to the Virgin Mary, saying Hail Marys and Hail Mary, full of grace, and all of these wonderful prayers to the Sacred Feminine. As you come up to the grotto, you can actually tour the grotto, and you can see the actual spring itself. Now, this last July, this place was flooded with 2 meters of river water, and it really wrecked a lot of the pavement, and it some of the statuary was damaged and things like that. And what they've done is they've wrapped the spring, the sacred spring, inside of a plexiglass screen that goes from the top of the rock down to the base of the rock, so that nothing really can get into the sacred spring, but you can still see it. It's like looking at it through a window. So I'm going to go back to Saint Bernadette Soubirous. She became a nun, okay, but the waters of the spring that was coming out of the grotto became known for their healing ability, and they have been tested against numerous ailments, because it's so difficult for the Catholic Church to accept anything of a paranormal quality that doesn't that isn't harmonizing with their scripture or their belief system. They tend to go along with science with regards to, prove that this is working, and they're only saying that one miracle per year has been happening. But I'll tell you what, I came in here right off the bat. I had an ailment. Granted, it wasn't a severe ailment, but it was an ailment. I came in and I took the baths, and that ailment disappeared immediately. Now, I don't know if I have a predisposition to being open to these types of healings. I don't have a medical doctor. I don't have a doctor. I don't have any kind of an MD that is, looking at my health or doing anything like this. And so I do depend on the Kundalini totally for my health care. And so maybe that makes a difference. When I went to John of God's, I received a very, very qualified healing from him. And when I came here, the first time I didn't have an ailment, so I didn't receive it, except I did feel that, within the Kundalini context, I felt how things were going. This time I did. I did have an ailment, and it was resolved. And I have to say, I'm very pleased with this. And so the age of miracles has not stopped. It is continuously going. And you who are Kundalini awakening know that this is the case. I'm going to bring Santara on. Hi, Santara.
Hello, Chrism.
Evidently, you forgot about the hour time change.
Yes, indeed, I did, and apologies for that. And then yes, there are other reasons, but that was the main one. Yes.
Now, did you set up the chat window?
Yes, I did, and the chat window is up, and there are no questions at this time.
Very good. Well, I'd like to say hello to everyone on the chat window, and once again, my apologies for not being able to set up a chat window with this iPad. Now, Centaur, you went to Lourdes with me the first time. What was your experience there?
Oh, I did. It was a wonderful experience. Yeah, it's a place of great devotion, and it's also a place where I suppose many come looking for a miracle, a place of hope and a place of desperation too, in many ways, a place where, I think people discover a peace that maybe they didn't have before they came. And it's not just Catholics, I think, who go to Lourdes. I think people of many faiths and no faiths go there as well. And many go out of curiosity, and others are very devotional to the Mother Mary. For me, there was miracles that happened for myself, Chrism. I can remember there were 3 of us walking towards the grotto. We were walking side by side and we were chatting. And then there was this most delicious fragrance of flowers came to my attention. It was the smell of lilac. And we all smelled it at the very same time. But when we looked around, there was no bush, there was no tree, there was no flower of any type of bloom.
Yeah, there were no flowers at all. I was one of those 3 people.
No.
And I did smell that right. As well. And, you're absolutely correct. There was no source for that smell, and that smell is typically a Kundalini phenomenon. But please continue. Yes,
that's right. So, to me, that was a personal miracle. And another thing is the bats themselves. Not only just the bats, but the way that my Kundalini responded to being in Lourdes was a surprise to me, because I would have been raised a Catholic and I would have known an awful lot about Lourdes, but I didn't have, what I would consider to be a desire, or I had no desire to really go there. But on arriving there, my Kundalini really responded. I felt it so much in my heart. And I remember when we went to the baths, there was an amazing ritual around all of that. I don't know, have you spoken about this already?
Not yet, no.
About the baths?
No, I have not spoken
about that yet. Okay, well, just, I had a beautifully miraculous experience for me in the baths. It was one of intense bliss, of heart expansion, of devotion. It was just absolutely beautiful. So to me, that was a personal miracle, one of absolute connection to the divine feminine, to the divine within myself and in all things. I'm actually feeling emotional now as I speak about it.
Well, it's still here. It's still
Yeah.
This source is active. It permeates the entire area. Now, since you bring up the baths, let's go up and let's run through what they have you do. So typically the queues are very, very, very long. However, because of this big flood that they had in July, and they're having to do a lot of construction work around the area, I can only assume that was the reason why I only had one guy ahead of me when I joined in the queue, and Magdalene de Deus, she had maybe 10 or 15 women ahead of her. They split up the men and the women, and for obvious reasons, because they are taking a bath and you don't wear clothing in the bath. So basically, they ask that you be in a very, very reverent frame of mind as you're sitting on the bench or you're in the queue, and they ask that people be silent, and so there's this very, very strong sacred feeling as you're standing in the queue or you're sitting in the queue. Most of the time you'll be sitting in the queue unless the queue extends beyond the entrance gate, and which it often does. And as you sit there, and for me, I was the Kundalini was in contact with me, and we were just doing healings all over the place there. It's very, very conducive to Kundalini healing. And then as I moved into to the inner area of the bath area, they have a big bench on the inside of the building. And they have these blue and white striped curtains that hide the 9 baths. 9 baths for women, 9 baths for men. Because the population was so low this time, they only had 1 or 2 of them working. But as you come in, you undress to your underwear and you wait. And then as one person comes out of the bath, well, then it's your turn, and then you go in, and they have you face the wall. You remove your underwear. They wrap you in a white sheet, and then they stand you at the top of the stairs before you descend into the bathtub. Now, this bathtub is filled with water from the sacred spring. And what you do is you make an intention. So today, I went into the baths, and I stood at the top of the stairs, and I had a wonderful group of gentlemen who were helping me because I don't speak French or Italian or Spanish or any of the other languages. One guy in very broken English was attempting to help me anyway. And you want to make a declaration of intent before you get into the bath. And I made my declaration was that any and all who would come to this bath would receive the healing that they're here to receive. And then as soon as I came into, and then you descend the steps and into the very cold water, and I moved straight to the statue of the Immaculate Conception, or what I'll call Shakti Kundalini, and I said a prayer, gave a kiss on her feet, and then they sat me down and they kind of swung me back a little bit, and so I got the top of my head wet, which was great, which is what I wanted anyway, and they kept me there for just a few seconds, and then they stand you up. They are very hands-on in how they control your physical position within the bath because of the level of people who come here are in many ways in very bad shape physically. They some of them can't walk, some of them can't even get into the baths, and so they're very conscious of your safety as you get into the bath. And so, I had very strong arms holding both of my arms anyway. So I stood up, and this is the first time out of the 6 baths that I've had here that they allowed me to wash my face and to bring the water above the head. Some of them don't let you do it because they don't want you to use it as a baptism, because that would go against their faith somehow. Anyway, but these guys, they offered a plastic pitcher, and they said, drink, drink, drink. So I drank of the water right there while I was in the bath. It was a wonderful experience. I was allowed to wash my face and the top of my head more, got my hair wet and the whole bit. And it was extremely blissful. I started getting into bliss, and I had to be very careful because, you're on these slippery cement steps, but they're holding you. But, now you're getting dressed because they're taking the sheet off of you, and they're holding the sheet in front of you to give you privacy to put your underwear back on. And then, you're shaking hands with them, and you're saying thank you, or you're saying merci, merci beaucoup. And then I'm going back into the curtained room, and I'm shaking the hands of the guys. Beware of Kundalini people with bliss because they're very friendly. And then basically you're not allowed to dry the water off of you. One of the sayings here is that when you get up from the bath, you're already dry. Okay? Because you don't get to dry yourself up. So you're already dry as far as they're concerned. And so you put on your clothing, you put your socks on over your wet feet and so forth. But the ecstatic and the bliss is so strong that you don't care. You want that water to stay on you as long as possible. It was a very, very, very enjoyable experience, and I do recommend it for people coming here. Now, when you come out of the bath, it's an extremely refreshing, beautiful experience. But I must say, you have to come 50% of the way. You have to come in there with some very, very good intentions. You have to come in there in a very prayerful and mindful way that just because you're not a Catholic doesn't mean that this won't work for you. As Amelia correctly stated, I saw Hindus, I saw Islamic people there, and of course Christians and many different faiths. I also saw people who are kind of the spiritual tourists, people who are there to kind of experience everything under the sun that they can, and this is on their list. So it was a very, very positive, beautiful experience. Now that's from a 5 sense perspective, a 5-body perspective. Now let's go into the Kundalini perspective with this. There are definite healing entities here, and many of them are brought not so much by the Immaculate Conception or Shakti Kundalini, but by the people themselves. And what occurs is that people come and they give themselves permission here to have a healing. So their healing, the entities that are around them, the healing angels, shall we call them, around them, are given permission to help them. It is a whole, what's the word? It's a huge agreement among many different entities of a healing quality, and I'm getting purple spots all around me right now, so I can see that they're really resonating with what I'm saying. It's an agreement among many diverse healing entities that allow these miracles to take place. People are being healed at Lourdes right now, just like people are being healed at John of God's in Brazil, just like people are being healed in New Mexico. Eileen, I'm going to put you on here. What's the name of the place in New Mexico, Eileen?
Yes, I'm here. It's Santuario de Chamayo.
Chamayo. Thank you, my dear. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. It's the Chamayo. People are being healed in Chamayo. And once again, in Chamayo, very similar to Lourdes here. It's a big Catholic pilgrimage site in the United States where people will literally walk 60 miles, and every 12 steps they're down on their belly and their face, praying to the Christ as they then they get up, do another 12 paces, and then come down. In Lourdes here, you have people on the pavement, face down on the pavement. I was observing this today. It was wonderful. It was beautiful, and this is what is really giving Lourdes its power. People come here and give themselves permission to be healed, and as Amelia said, it is a place of hope, but this hope is backed up by some very tremendous healing experiences that people can have. As I mentioned, I experienced a healing, and Magdalene de Deos also experienced a healing, although not all the healings are going to be of a physical nature. Some of these healings here are going to be of a spiritual nature, of an emotional nature, a mental nature. We were walking last night around the circle with the other 1,000 people. People would come up to Magdalene de Deos and I, and it was typically people that we would call retarded or mentally handicapped in some way, which I don't agree with those labels at all, but this is all I'm being given to describe them. They'd come up to Magdalene and I, and they could see our Kundalini, and they would just hug us and want to be with us. And of course, the people that are in charge of them would drag them away. So hopefully, those folks were able to get a healing, at least for the short time that we were in proximity to them. It's really a magical place. Now the river runs right next to it, and of course they experienced a tremendous flood this past July, and it closed down Lourdes, which is a very it's almost unheard of that Lourdes would be closed down, but it was closed down for a certain amount of time, and they worked hard to get it opened back up. And as you're having Kundalini and as you're observing and feeling and experiencing, it is very healthy for your Kundalini. However, you must remain cogent of your Kundalini, that this is Kundalini. This isn't Catholicism. This isn't really even Christianity. Okay, this is divinity, and divinity doesn't really have a favorite faith. Okay, we'll have characters from religious belief systems such as Buddha or Allah or Jesus or any of the you name the big names, Krishna, but divinity doesn't compete with itself. Okay, and so when you come here, I strongly advise you to recognize that it is Kundalini that is allowing you to experience these things. It is your Kundalini that is bringing these miracles into your presence and to those around you. It is the Kundalini. It is the Shakti Kundalini, the sacred feminine, that has made her appearance as the Immaculate Conception. And let's go right in to that whole idea of the Immaculate Conception. There is nothing else except maybe, I wouldn't call a test tube baby to be immaculately conceived, because the scientists themselves are not immaculate. But Kundalini is immaculate, and it is conceived within you. You become that Kundalini child. You become that Kundalini person, that rebirth that occurs. And this is the true Immaculate Conception, in my opinion. Kundalini is the only Immaculate Conception. And this is why I feel that the Sacred Feminine didn't come right out and say, "Oh, I am the Virgin Mary," or "Oh, I am Mary, Mother of Christ," or any of the other Marys that are used within a biblical context. It didn't say that. It could have said that. It could have said that. It could say, "Oh yes, I am the Immaculate Conception. I am the Virgin Mary," but it didn't. And that begs a question: why did it not? And I feel that it did not because it was not the spirit of the Virgin Mary, the spirit of the Mary, the Mother of God. It was not that. It was the Kundalini. It was the divine that is within each and every one of us, and it was bringing a level of understanding and a level of inspiration and a level of hope and a level of nurturance and healing to the people at that time that patriarchal organizations typically do not do. Okay? A lot of them are about, the masculine, the sacred masculine aspects of life. And this is all good. Sacred masculine is great, but it's just a little bit overused. And a little bit out of balance with a lack of sacred femininity. And so this, of course, was brought here. And this is why it has really taken off. People love their mother. People love the sacred feminine, which is the sacred mother. So as this Immaculate Conception presented herself to Saint Bernadette, it started a huge level of recognition for sacred femininity in the Western world. And you have to remember, this was in the 1850s and 60s. Saint Bernadette died in the 1870s. But if you look at her pictures, you'll see a very similar level of. This woman was Kundalini active, to be sure. Just look at her face, and you just look at her eyes. That you can see the eyes just want to go up to her third eye. The eyes up position. You can see that in her pictures. That she didn't really like to take a lot of pictures, but for the ones that you can see her face in, her eyes are going up. She's got a lot of sclera showing beneath her iris. So sacred femininity, the sacred mother, the miracles that are brought forth from Lourdes are brought forth by the sacred feminine, the sacred mother, the sacred Kundalini that is awake in many of you that are going to be listening to this. Lourdes is about sacred feminine. It is about healing. Not just your body, but your mind, your principles, your ethics, your mental thoughts, your inner dialogue, your psychology, and yes, indeed, your physical body. Do you have more to add about this, Amelia?
No, Chris, I'm not at this time. I'm just listening. I'm remembering it, and I'm there again. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to put you on hold here. There we are. So I want to invite anyone to call in, and this can be about any kind of aspect of your Kundalini awakening experience. The phone number is United States area code 347-934-0026. That's 347-934-0026. And let's see. Yeah. I would like to say hello to Rosemary, to Eileen. Thank you again, Eileen, for your help. And hello, Rosemary. And if Vashti is listening, I'd like to say hello to Vashti and Sadvi and many of the other people who may or may not be on the chat window that I cannot see.
Well, Julie is there, Chrism, and Vashti.
Hi, Julie.
And Michelle.
Hi,
and
Michelle.
Tim and Krish is there as well.
Krish? K-R-I-S-H?
Chris Harris.
Yes. Chris Harris. Thank you. Hi, Chris Harris. So for those of you who can make it out to Lourdes, it is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful experience for Kundalini awakening people. I do advise a bit of a distance from the Catholicism that is practiced here, but that is not a hard shift. If you're not called towards Catholicism anyway, then you just respect. You have to respect the people and their belief system. And not only can you respect it, but you can feel their enthusiasm for it. You can feel the vibrancy of their faith and the strength of their conviction. And this really lends itself to the miraculous that does occur here on a daily basis. Now, I really refuse to get into the whole, if they're taking a medication, then scientifically, this cannot be considered a miracle because it could have been the medication that cured them. Well, if the medication had cured them, it would have done to a long time before they got to Lourdes. Okay. I'm really not buying into the naysayers about miracles happening. I know that the Catholic Church wants science to back it up because they don't want to lose any of their power or their control, because miracles are basically outside of their power and control, and they don't want that. And then, of course, you have the scientists that are saying, well, if you can't measure it, vivisect it, kill it, or manipulate it in some way repeatedly, therefore it is not it doesn't exist. I don't buy into that at all. And these people who are here, boy, they have so much hope. They have so much love in their heart. They have so much faith in what their belief system is giving to them. And it's very easy to tie into the love here with your Kundalini. Your Kundalini will really, as Santara mentioned, it begins to expand your heart here. And really it is the heart, in many ways, that is the first chakra. In many ways, Kundalini will start at the heart and then travel down to the coccyx, and begin the whole awakening process there. So as your heart expands, so does your love expand, and it can, because you're Kundalini awakening, it'll expand into levels of bliss and sometimes ecstasy. Although that can be very, very difficult to. For me, when I'm ecstatic, I'm frozen. I can't move. when I'm ecstatic. I'm frozen, and if people are walking behind you, it can be a problem. But you will. I did experience bliss here, and it would be my hope that you would also experience bliss here. Now, Lourdes is about 3,500, maybe 4,000 feet, maybe a little less, in what they call the Midi-Pyrenees. It's not typically the warmest place in France. We're here at the end of the season. Everything here, not everything, but much of what you see as far as shops and trinket shops, you get a lot of buy the Bernadette necklace and, all of this stuff here. There's a lot of commercialism here, but they're all closing in about 3 days. The level, these people, I would have to just say that they're ready. They're ready to close. They've had enough of tourists. They can be a little rude because of that, I'm sure. I used to work in Yosemite, and so I know what it's like to see 3 million visitors in 3 months. And so I can totally understand where they're coming from. So if they do treat you a little harsh, if you do come to them at this time, in October and early November, then, people are going to be a little short. But by and large, the people at the shrine are absolutely gorgeous. And the people who volunteer, you have people that fly in from the United States, from Scotland, and of course here in France, and from Spain, and from Italy, and many of the Catholic countries. They fly in and they will help you, and they will answer your questions in the language that you speak. Now, there weren't too many English speakers here this time, which is fine, because Magdalene de Deus, she could translate for me, except when I was in the bath. But everybody, it's such a combination of different kinds of love, but love that is all coalescing around a central theme, and that is of the Kundalini Shakti, Kundalini, Sacred Feminine, Immaculate Conception, Virgin Mary, Mother Mary. Call it what you will. Call it whatever you want. It's here. The love is here. It's beautiful. You can partake of it. It will partake of you. It will partake of you. And when you come out of that bath, you can become a very, very different person. Very, very different person. Within a Kundalini context, of course, you do want to be giving this type of love and attention to people as much as you can in your life. You don't have to come to Lourdes to give yourself permission. The Kundalini has already given you permission to do this. You are a walking, talking Lourdes. Okay? You are Lourdes. You are the Immaculate Conception. All of you who have Kundalini and are listening to this broadcast, you are the Immaculate Conception. You have the grace already, but it's not yours to keep. It's yours to give. It is yours to give to others. You help those who cannot help themselves. You help people. That's why you have the Kundalini. It's not so that you can go sit up in a cave. Not that that's a bad thing, Cave people are fine. Hermits are fine. Many hermits of a Tibetan lineage are doing great things for humanity. They're giving from that locale. So really, give in a Lourdes way from your Kundalini. I know Centaura does this, and I know Eileen does this, and I know Rosemary does this, and I know that Fashti and all of you who are listening and have the Kundalini, I know that in some way the Kundalini will compel you to help other people. So be that walking, talking Lourdes, Immaculate Conception. It is your choice to have it. Well, actually, many of you did not get to choose to have Kundalini, okay? But it chose you. And so in some way, you were aligned with this happening, or it wouldn't have happened. So understand that and recognize that and give from that perspective. These waters here are very beautiful. They are blessed. The water here is blessed, definitely blessed. but so can the water around you be similarly blessed. All you need to do is ask your Kundalini to do it. Do it, and it will be done. Ask, and ye shall receive, to quote a Bible saying. Now, I'm going to give the phone call-in number again. It's the United States area code 347-934-0026. So do call in if you have any kind of a question about your Kundalini awakening experience. You'll see a lot of nuns here. They're very helpful people. Not treated with the level of sanctity that the priests are treated with, which I always find a bit difficult. But I move with that. I forgive that, and I just kind of move with it. This is the patriarchal system here. Excuse me, Rosemary. Looks like you have a question. I'm going to go ahead and put you on. Here we are, Rosemary. Hello, Rosemary.
Hello, Chrism. I want to thank you. My heart was so touched. I am a Catholic. I've been a Catholic all my life, and I recognize the things that you're saying. One of the things, a friend of mine has gone to Lourdes years ago, and I was remembering her telling me when she came back. And she has made many travels to Europe and to shrines. But when you said what you said about our Kundalini these last 5 minutes or so, I just was stopped just to a halt to say thank you. Because I wanted to be there, I wanted to receive what you received, and I was a little glimmer of sadness and that I haven't, but you just took all that away.
You have. You've got it.
Yes, thank you.
You are the Lourdes. You are the Minnesota Lourdes, my dear.
Yes, I will be that. I accept that.
And I brought you a little gift from Lourdes anyway, so there you have it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that. And yes, lots of nuns here, Rosemary. Lots of nuns, but they're treated a little bit differently. But they're very, very sweet, very nice people. I had the opportunity to talk with a few of them, just asking directions here and there, and very, very, very beautiful, very, very nice and devotional people. So now, with regards to you, let's just talk about you. You are such a helpful, grace-based person, Rosemary. You're helping little children cross the street. You're helping the homeless. You're giving them jackets and sleeping bags and boots for the terrible winters that you have in Minnesota. I mean, you are already a Lourdes. You are a corporeal Lourdes. See, this is the Kundalini in an active state, and this is what happened to Saint Bernadette. She had the Kundalini activated within her by the Immaculate Conception. Okay, by the Immaculate Conception. And I'm getting a little noise, so I'm going to go ahead and put you on hold, but thank you.
That's fine. Thank you.
So see, Rosemary and Amelia and Eileen and many other people are representatives of the Kundalini, and the Kundalini is here. Lourdes is a base for the Kundalini. Sure, they're going to call it the Virgin Mary. Sure, okay, fine. Call it whatever you want. But it is Kundalini, and it is here, and it is waiting for you to come and partake of it. Now, you're not going to, well, I won't say that, but typically, I will say, most of the people that come in here won't get a Shakti pot from here, but some will. Some will get a Shakti pot, and oh my gosh, what an added blessing that would be. Hopefully, you know what's happening. Hopefully, maybe they will be... they will be guided towards this broadcast. Looks like Eileen has a question, so I'm going to bring Eileen on. Hello. Hi, Eileen.
Hi, I didn't have a question. I'm fine. I'm really enjoying your discussion.
Oh, very good. My mom.
It's as if I'm actually...
Oh, sorry, Eileen. Sorry. I have a time delay between when I push the button, because I guess because I'm here in Europe or whatever. I apologize. I'm going to put you back on and let you finish what you were saying. What you were saying, Eileen?
Your description, I feel as if I'm there. I could feel myself at the top of the stairs and in the water and kissing the feet. I'm really enjoying this discussion, Prism.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I will continue it, and thank you for that comment. Pressing the button now. Technology, gotta love it. Okay, so let me give you a little bit more of a description then. You can go right on up to the sacred spring. And what people do is you'll have a long queue once again, although we didn't have one today. You'll have a long queue, and as you face the grotto, the sacred spring will be on the left. And what people do is they touch the rock, and the rock has becomes worn from so many hands and so many fingers touching the rock, and it's become a bit it's moist from it isn't just one spring. There's like a number of little minor springs that add into the one spring, and it's coming through the rock. And so it's wet, and so you'll get a layer of moss on there, but you'll also get a layer of hydrochloric acid that's eating into the rock due to millions and millions and millions of people touching this rock. You go right into the grotto, and you go right into where the Immaculate Conception showed herself 18 times, which is really unique in my opinion, to Bernadette Soubirous at the time, to become, later to become Saint Bernadette. It is a very beautiful experience. Very beautiful experience. And the energy is very, very palpable. And once again, a lot of that energy is fueled by the people themselves, the people coming through. Now, you can go up. They built this beautiful, beautiful chapel. The Lourdes Chapel is exceptional because they have many domes, large domes that are built below the chapel, the typical chapel that you would recognize as a chapel. And so these domes are like the first floor, and then you go up some winding staircases, and you come into the chapel. And of course, they have some of Saint Bernadette there. I guess selected clippings of Saint Bernadette's body is there under kind of this little mini glass mausoleum. I couldn't see the body parts, so I don't know. I can't describe to you what body parts were taken or how much. Do me a favor. Nobody gets to take any body parts from me. I'll tell you that right now. Okay, I'm gonna put that in my will if I ever make a will. No clippings. Unless you're going to grow me in a petri dish. Fine. Okay, that's fine. That's different. But yeah, they had the relics of Saint Bernadette there. We both went to see the relics. I was going to try to see what parts were there, but you can't. The chapel is exceptionally beautiful. The paintings on the outside of the chapel, and this big stage with a huge audience capacity. Literally, you could fit thousands and thousands of people, and they do. They fit thousands and thousands of people here, and they all are there for love and healing and for expressing their devotion to the divine. It is such a beautiful experience here, folks. And I do want to suggest that if you can at all make it to Lourdes, do make it, and take the baths, whether or not you need a healing or not. Take the baths. The baths are a very, very special part of the whole process, and they really cement home the many levels of healing that can be received here. The call-in number is United States area code 347-934-0026. I will have to make this episode a little bit short because people may want to come in here and use this phone, and I don't want to be a hog in this little space here, but. Yeah, do call in if you have any kind of a question or a comment that you'd like to make about Lourdes or about healing in general. Call in at 347-934-0026. I didn't see anyone of a really maligned disposition. I did see people in pain. I did see irritated people who are various levels of irritation, like our night manager here. That was apparent. But once again, you just forgive and you move forward. This whole place really turns on forgiveness. This is a beautiful place to initiate forgiveness for yourself, for others. It's a very helpful place for you to begin that. If you need a geographic locale to do that, then come to Lourdes and do that. Go to Chimayo and do that. Go to John of Gods and do that. If you need a geographical area to give yourself permission to do so, and I can understand how that would be effective for a person, you make a pilgrimage. Pilgrimages have their purpose. You walk or you drive or you in some way you travel to a certain area for a certain thing. And remember, it's the journey, not the destination, that makes the difference. And so as you make your journey to, say, Lourdes, I came through, well, of course I came through Ireland, where Emilio Santara put the seminar on. Very, very grateful for that. And then over to Geneva. And then from Geneva, Magdalene de Deus met me there, and we went straight away down into France and following the French Alps for a ways, and then we went straight down into Carcassonne, and then from Carcassonne we went into the Cathar lands, and I did some videos there on the Cathar lands, and then from Cathar land we went straight into Lourdes, and Lourdes is a wonderful destination to have, but the healing was taking place even before then. Magdalene de Deus and I literally walked a kilometer into the Pyrenees. There's this huge cave called Nia that goes in 2 kilometers. We only walked in about 1 kilometer. It's a very beautiful place. Very Shakti, once again, a very sacred earth, sacred Shakti, sacred feminine place. And then you come to Lourdes, and it's once again, it is another sacred feminine place. So the sacred feminine is on the rise in this world. It's not being recognized quite yet for what it is, but it is on the rise. And as more people become Kundalini awakened, as more people are able to receive the blessings of the Kundalini in a safe way that allows them to have it without going into Kundalini syndrome or being sucked into to some type of a teaching that is going to be abusive of them, well then the sacred feminine will be even more available to people. So I want to encourage this with you. I want to encourage you to recognize that sacred feminine within yourself, the awakened Kundalini or the unawakened Kundalini. Everybody has it. The difference is whether it's awakened or not, or activated or not. And if you're listening to this, something may be drawing you towards an activation or awakening event, a recognition in you, or maybe a loved one has Kundalini, and you're listening to this to give them some help. Well, isn't that a healing? What a healing you're giving that loved one, that friend, that family member, giving them some information that they may not have about their condition. You are also a Lourdes healing destination. Think about that. And I'm going to sign off early on this one. Tomorrow I go in for some more bags of Magdalene de Deus. We'll be doing that again, and we're going to also be doing another march, I think, around the circle there, and some devotion, and then we will be headed off to another destination on our pilgrimage here in France, and then into Spain. And I just want to say that it is such a grace and a pleasure to be able to share this with you. And I am going to thank Santara and her husband John and all her children for making this broadcast available to you. Hey, Santara.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you so much for this program. It's been, as Eileen said, it's been wonderful to hear it. It's been wonderful to hear your voice, and the energy that's in your voice is very beautiful. I can feel it here. You know, what you were saying about pilgrimages being made, that we can make pilgrimages to sacred places. And I would like to say that we can also, you know, make pilgrimages to sacred events. And I consider that the seminars that you give are sacred events. And so I would like to invite people to consider maybe coming to one of these, to making a pilgrimage to one of the seminars that you will be giving next year in 2014.
And you're right. You're absolutely correct. This is a sacred event, because we are dealing directly with the Immaculate Conception. This is what appeared to Saint Bernadette. When we have a Kundalini Awakening seminar, this is exactly what is occurring. This is exactly right. And so you so go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that I would like to invite people to consider making a pilgrimage to one of these sacred events, and we're actually beginning to plan these for 2014. And I know already that, you know, Rosemary is looking to host one in Minnesota. We're considering one going towards maybe February or March in New York. And there are other areas. So if people want to write to me and just declare an interest and let me know their location, I will keep them updated. And I can also take into consideration where they are in a country. And we're going to be doing one again next year in Ireland as well. So
and
please do write to me at
Kundalini. Good.
Kundalini Matters @gmail.com. And Kristen, we have a caller on the line who has just come on, so will I patch you through?
Please.
Master C.
Fast G. How are you?
I am quite well. I was holding off to actually tell of my experience. I just wanted to tell of an inner experience that I had with you just recently. During meditation, I alluded to this in the last talk, that I had been, I guess, being told something by Shakti, and I had been seeing the same images. I think I mentioned that. I'd been seeing images of trees, and out of the middle of that, there was the head of a snake that morphed into a white tiger. And then the following day, while in a meditation, I saw you, which was the most... I'm going to try not to get emotional here.
You can get emotional. It's okay. Don't hold that back.
I saw you. And according to all the teachings, one recognizes his master when he can see him on the inner. And I saw you very clearly. Of course, you didn't have a gray beard. It was all black or whatever color your hair is. But It was the most extraordinary experience for me. And I just wanted to say that it for me, it told me that I was doing the right thing, because you are truly one with divinity, especially when thinking of the prior experiences that I'd been having with Shakti. And I just wanted to thank you for just being you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for relating that experience. It's a very powerful experience, and I want you to understand that the significance of the snake and the tiger, and then seeing me. This is your Kundalini talking to you, my friend. Are you hearing me?
I am here.
Okay.
I'm here. And I appreciate
and she is talking to you in a way that is giving you a direction, and I feel that you know what that direction is, and
absolutely.
And I'm going to bring you a little gift from Lourdes here.
Bless you, Master. Bless
so
you.
do me a favor, Fashti. Write to me your snail mail address on my kfireforall@yahoo.com, okay?
It would be an honor. Thank you, Master.
Yeah, and then we'll mail that off to you.
All right. I'll get out of your way now.
No, you're not in my way. You understand that, right?
Yes.
Don't say that. Don't.
Yes.
You don't want to phrase things that way. You are in a very sacred space. You're in a very sacred space, and there is no possible way that you could be in anybody's way at this point. I mean, you, Fashti, you've been on a long, beautiful pilgrimage, and this pilgrimage is beginning to bear fruit, and the fruit that it is bearing for you right now is extreme levels of information that is given to you behind your eyes, but within your inner self. And to see a teacher in your inner self is a huge validation for the choices and the decisions that you've made to get to where you are.
Yes, that is the word I was looking for, validation, because one can see the Master in the dream state, but to see him during or her during a meditative experience is significant as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely, and I want to honor you, and I want to say what a special quality and gift that is for you as you develop into the healer that I feel that you're becoming through the Kundalini, through your Kundalini awakening.
Thank you.
Okay,
thank you very much.
And I am very honored to be in some way of a helpful source of grace for you, my friend.
Well, you are, most certainly, and thank you.
Well, thank you for calling.
All right, have a safe trip back.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
That's a very powerful experience that Fashti is relating to us, and I want everyone to take note that Kundalini does not act accidentally this way. Just as Saint Bernadette was staring at her Immaculate Conception, at her Kundalini awakening event, and paying attention to it, so is Fashti sharing a very similar event. Understand this, that you are able and capable to have what Saint Bernadette experienced. And I say this to a lot of my private students. People who are Kundalini awakening are actually saints that are in the making. Whether they're in the training stages or whatever stages saints have to go through, this is what Kundalini awakening people are. This is what I'm teaching. This is what the safeties are all about. It's turning you into a saint. You know, we just heard from Saint Fashti and Saint Satara, Saint Rosemary, Saint Eileen. It is a saint developing process. It is this. And you are that. If you are having a Kundalini awakening event in your life at this time, understand that. And yes, understand that the old adage may be true, that, you know, a saint's life is typically hard. But it doesn't have to be as hard as, say, it was for St. Francis of Assisi or St. Philip of Neri. Okay? You have information that they did not have. They have faith that you may not have. So where we come together here in these conversations is the merging of information and faith. And information plus faith equals validation. I want you to validate your Kundalini experiences, just the way Vashti is validating his. Just the way Saint Bernadette Subaru, by following her directions and by listening to the Shakti Kundalini say to her, do this, do that, do these things, and build this church over the sacred spring. So are you also in a divine compact with the inner divinity that is happening within you. Just as St. Francis of Assisi was able to have such communication with animals, so does a Kundalini person have that same communication. Just as any of the healers that were saints were able to heal, so do you have that capacity. You are all Saint Bernadettes. You are all Saint Francis of Assisi. You are all Saint John of the Cross, Saint Teresa of Avila. You are all these saints. You, the Kundalini awakening. You, those who are seeking Kundalini. Please understand this and know this and recognize this within yourself. And then follow the safeties daily. Do them twice daily, but follow the safeties and validate the saint that you are becoming. Contact me if you ever have questions about your Kundalini awakening experience. You can do it at K Fire for All. That's K as in Kundalini, or King, or not conundrum. Well, K and then Fire, F-I-R-E, and then for, F-O-R-A-L-L, at yahoo.com. So you can also reach me on Facebook at Chrism Kundalini on Facebook, or they won't let me use Chrism on Facebook anymore, so I have to use Chris Mitchell, which is fine. You know, you can reach me at Chris Mitchell on Facebook. You'll recognize my face. I'm the guy with the sunglasses and the beard. And
oh, I think Chrism has been cut off. So, are you back?
Am I back?
No, Chrism has. You are back, Chrism. You are.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so maybe the powers that be here in Lourdes are saying, get off the phone. So, everybody. Santara, Rosemary, Eileen, Fashji, Chrism Harris, Julie, everybody who is in the chat room and everybody who is listening in the future. I would like to say blessings to you all from Lourdes, France. I will talk with you again next week. Thank you, Santara. Bye-bye, everyone.